While we learn about the opposition on the pitch, Wiser learns how to heat my home.
Rob, back to Premiership action this weekend. Leicester Tigers, top of the tree they are. They've been the informed side this year, but a huge game for us.
Well, every game's big now, isn't it? We're at that stage where, and this is kind of what makes it exciting. I'm going to be sitting on Sunday watching, just like I say, you're terrified, excited, nervous, delighted with anything we do well. It's going to be one of those games because we win the game, we give ourselves lots of opportunities, for where the season's going to go. Losing the game, and it gets tougher for next week, and then the next week, and the next week, and that's very exciting. And as I said before, I do think it potentially could hold us in very good stead, because it's a challenge that if we take it head on, could really develop us to another level of where we probably dropped off from last season, if I'm honest. And that's what I want to see. I want to see us thriving in this period. I think we've got the capability of doing it. We've certainly got the experience to do it within the side. We've got the ability to do it, and it's just us seeing it through. And it's going to be an interesting challenge for us. One I'm really looking forward to.
You've talked about the energy and the buzz, particularly this last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. You've seen that in performances, even at Worcester in defeat. It was a good performance in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, I think this is the challenge for us, because I think in this last 5 or 6 weeks in particular, the lads who've been here really rolled up their sleeves and got on with it. And that includes the Scotland lads coming back in like they've done as well. And they've kind of known we've been under a bit of pressure, and they've known we've had to really get stuck into people. But we know we've had, with the amount of internationals away, we've been a little bit challenged, and they've got on with it, and they've produced some really good performances for us. And the key now is to push that on, and that the returnees add to it and drive it forward. And we don't kind of look around and go, we're okay now, everyone's back, because that will kill us. If we look around and go, it should be okay because everyone's back, well, that will kill us. What we've got to do is we've got to push on now. We've got to find some new levels of where we want to be this season. I think that's in us. I really do. But that's going to be important for us to see if we want to beat a team like Leicester, who are very comfortable with how they're playing and they're going very well.
You talk about those qualities. It's almost the Exeter DNA, which you've used pretty much from Championship days right through. You don't really have to spell that into the guys, but they've obviously clicked somewhere and thought, we need to do this now.
Well, I think it's like anything. You can become. I know it sounds a bit odd, but you can become quite strong at knowing the parts of your game that need to work to win. And because we've done that for quite a few years, but you've always got to back up all those parts of how you win with genuine hard work. And obviously what can happen is you can start to manage that scenario where you can still win games by not working quite so hard, and then actually all of a sudden teams come back at you, or teams start to find ways of stopping you, or they challenge you in a different way. And if you haven't kind of got really on your toes and you're really ready to go, you can lose the odd game that you shouldn't lose. That at Christmas we kind of really talked openly about that, and where we would have been 4 or 5 years earlier and how we'd have addressed it. And to be fair, that's very much what we've done. If you look at our last run of 5 results, if we could have been repeating that in the first two quarters of the season, we'd be sitting pretty now. So I'm really pleased with where we are at the moment, but we're still in that pressurised position of having to keep pushing through with it. And that's the key, it's keeping pushing forward.
Rob, was the difficulty when you say that the boys have done it for the last 4 or 5 weeks? What about earlier in the season? What wasn't there, do you feel? Or
well, I mean, listen, we had a ridiculous amount of turnover, not just with longer term guys, but then got week by week what was happening. We'd get someone back in and we'd put together quite a good performance, and they'd be injured during that game, and we'd change it again the following week. And even now, I still, even with those disruptions, if you look, we lose by quite a late score to Northampton. If you look at that early bit, Northampton and Newcastle at home, both multiple opportunities during the game for us to get once more over the try line and win the game. And we just, for whatever reason it was, we just made a mistake. And a lot of that, I know what it was. It was the day-by-day disruption in the team. You look at that Newcastle game, we brought Chris came into the side after being away with Wales, I think in autumn internationals training. And in the first 5 minutes of the game, Will Whitty turns an ankle. And we're already disrupted back 5, and he has to go in and play the full game over, not even been training with us. And that was happening all the time. We lose the game by a couple of points. We get 1 point instead of 4. And the same kind of thing happening against Northampton. We actually played pretty well here. But, you watch the game, if you watch the game back, you go, how have we won this game? And that's another, you had another 6 points, then that's just 2 of the games. You had 6 points in there, and that table looks pretty different to where it looks now. And that's the kind of fine margins we're at. So we've never hugely dropped off, but that's how how much it can matter to really talk and honestly talk about what are we giving to the game all the time, because you only need that little bit of something missing, and that's what can happen.
Huge crowd expected this weekend, but Leicester, what are you making of them and what they've done this season?
I just think they've just got really comfortable with each other and really aligned, and they've got that quality that's a little bit scary. It's once you understand that if you keep doing what you're doing for 80 minutes, you make yourself very difficult for the opposition to beat. It's one of the things that we work really hard to establish in ourselves as a team, and it really has done really well for us over a number of years. The teams that have done well, traditionally Saracens, are very much the same. They're aligned as a team, they know what they want to do, and they drive it for 80 minutes. It makes you very difficult to beat. Leicester have got that at the moment. You've seen Gloucester look like they've got an established pattern of that as well now. Look at Harlequins. Through last season they got aligned about halfway through the season, and it becomes a very powerful thing when you're all seeing the game the same way. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the teams that are in around the top of the Premiership. They're like that. They know how they want to play, and they can drive it for 80 minutes. And that's why they're the toughest opponents to play.